Kandy Therapeutics was actually spun out of Neri Therapeutics. It's really interesting because Ina led the Series C raise, or Series B raise for Neri, and we really struggled to get anyone who was interested in the menopause, because nobody thinks it's fashionable and there's no market. And I'd have to cut my partner's arm off to fund that. So we decided early on, because it wasn't that attractive broadly, that we would spin Kandy Therapeutics out. And we did. We spun Kandy out. And as I said, Ina was part of that, and we raised a Series C actually only last August, and we've already finished the study that we raised the money for. So what we're really excited, because we believe that 814, which is our neurokinin dual mechanism receptor antagonist non-hormonal approach, we believe that it's going to be a breakthrough treatment for the menopause. And our study is now completed, it's fully enrolled, and we're waiting to Q1 next year to have that assumption confirmed. And, we're crossing our fingers that it will be confirmed. So, what I'm going to talk about today is really give you an overview on the menopause. And the fact is, I always quote three numbers: 50, 20, 10. 50 is half of the population will get the menopause. Of those, 20% will have very, very, very severe debilitating symptoms, so much so that it will affect their daily life. And 10 is the fact that it'll go on for 10 years. So this is serious. It needs to be taken serious. It's not just a symptom. It's something that actually spoils the lives of many women at the peak of, their productivity. So it's important. It's actually a massive market. At peak, this was a multi-billion-dollar market. So just to give you an example, Premarin was a $2 billion compound back then. And at today's money, like for like, that's 10 billion. So, a compound that takes 25% share is a $10 billion asset. 814 is a very exciting breakthrough for the menopause. It's a dual mechanism neurokinin 1,3 receptor antagonist. And what's very exciting about it, we hope to confirm that it has the same profound efficacy of HRT, but it obviously is non-hormonal, and the effects are really rapid. Hence, we've called our study Switch 1, because it looks like it just switches off the symptoms of the menopause. We had a compelling phase 2A data. I'm going to share that with you. And we have a phase 2B study, which, as I said, is fully enrolled. And finally, again, the same management team that investors are overseeing this and supporting this compound through development. So the disease story and the product story. The disease story is that the menopause, as I said, is common. It's debilitating. It's not just hot flashing. There are many symptoms that women suffer, notably night sweating, nighttime awakening, insomnia, depression, anxiety, etc., etc. So they're pretty serious. Hormone therapy works, but it is associated with an increased risks of breast cancer and cardiovascular events. And therefore, unfortunately, women and doctors don't want to prescribe it. Women don't want to take it. And there is a desperate need for a non-hormonal alternative, which we believe 814 has the promise to be. So it is a small molecule. It's a neurokinin dual mechanism antagonist, acts centrally and in a very targeted fashion. And it reduces the symptoms of the menopause. You'll see the nighttime awakening, the flashing, and the nighttime sweating. The exciting thing is that the effect is profound and it's rapid, and it's a once daily tablet. So it really has the promise of something quite special. Again, you'll recognize the same faces. The only addition here is Josh Richardson from Longitude Capital joined us when we raised our Series C last year. And we now have a slightly larger board, but again, very collaborative, and the same team overseeing this asset. To go back then to the menopause, the symptoms are debilitating and they last a long time. And that's what that chart on the far right shows, that a lot of women suffer, and the ones who suffer will suffer for a long time. And actually the population is very big. So in the US, you're talking about around 8 million, and at peak, 15 million women in the US were taking HRT. So this is suffered by millions of women on a daily basis for many years. The symptoms are, as I said, a constellation. You can see here hot flashing, nighttime sweats, difficulty sleeping are the main reasons women present, but there are many other things that they are suffering from. And I think it's worth noting here that sleep disturbance is really important, and we see great data in our study that reduces, where we've seen a reduction in nighttime awakening. That isn't seen with HRT, and if it is, it takes a long time to come on. So we believe that this effect is really differentiating. Back to the market then, you can see on the far right-hand side was you can see how the Women's Health Initiative report, which announced that HRT was associated with an increased risk of breast cancer and cardiovascular events, devastated the HRT market. And you can see a dramatic fall at the time the publication was announced, and the HRT market has never recovered as a result. And again, I mentioned that Premarin was worth $2 billion at peak dollars, and its sales halved, and they never recovered. However, it's still worth $1 billion even at today, which, so this is a big mark, but actually loyalty and brand loyalty is really important here, and you could see how brands can live for a long time in this space. So this was one of the original blockbuster marketplaces. How does it all work? I mean, we called Kandy Therapeutics Kandy not just because it was a funny little name. It's actually a biologically based name. Kandy stands for kisspeptin, uricinin, and dynorphin, and that is the centrally located neuronal estrogen-sensitive complex in the hypothalamus. And we believe, and increasingly it's understood, that the Kandy neurons and neurokinins are obligate modulators of women and men's health. So it's well known now that the Kandy neurons project into at least two areas of the brain, one controlling the thermoregulatory pathway and the other controlling the GnRH pathway, which is obviously the core sex hormone pathway. And there are now 3 proof-of-concept studies showing that neurokinin receptor antagonists, NK331 receptor antagonists, reduce the symptoms of the menopause. And I'm going to show you our data. And on this side, that they actually reduce estrogen production in normally menstruating women. And we've just completed a study and we're waiting to see that data, but expect that 8142 will have an effect to reduce estrogen in healthy women, therefore could have utility to treat conditions where an estrogen reduction is required, for example, endometriosis or fibroids. So in other words, neurokinins are not much talked about, but it appears that they really are obligate controllers of women and men's health. So this is a summary of the wide potential of this compound. So 814 is a dual receptor antagonist, NK13. It blocks the thermoregulatory pathway and the GnRH pathway. And as a result of the blockade, it therefore has potential to affect multiple pathways. And it really depends on the hormonal milieu of the women. So in healthy women, they haven't got any, or menopausal women, they haven't got any estrogen. So the effect is to reduce the hot flashes. In younger women of reproductive age, if you reduce estrogen, you can have an effect on improving fibroids and endometriosis. Or if you reduce testosterone, which it would do, you also have potentially the effect to treat polycystic ovary. So you can see this is a really versatile compound, and it really genuinely does represent a pipeline in a single product. And we've, as I said, we've done one study looking at the effect on estrogen, and we would continue to explore the mechanism. So let's look at the data for 814 in the core indication, which is vasomotor menopausal symptoms, and that is our lead and target indication. So this is a summary of what we called RELENT-1, which is our phase 1b/2a study. You can read the details. It was a short study, only 14 days. It wasn't designed to be an efficacy study. It was designed to be a safety and pharmacokinetic study. But we thought we'd make it just big enough that if there's a signal, we'll see it. And in fact, it's extraordinary, the signal that we did see was phenomenal in its level of profundity. So a very nice, robust study, but actually ended up showing us more than we expected. So this is the data which has been presented in the public domain. So what you're seeing here is 814 effects on hot flashes, and you can see a rapid and marked reduction at the effective dose. The purple line's the placebo. You had a question earlier about placebo. There is always some placebo effect, but after the baseline, you can see the onset of treatment within a couple of days. Within 1 day, the effect was a significant reduction in hot flashes in these women. So the reduction in hot flashes was significant at week 1 at 62%. And also by week 2, there was an 84% reduction in hot flashes. So really, this is a profound and switch-like effect on vasomotor symptoms. This is the second endpoint the FDA are interested in, which is not just frequency, but it's also severity. And what you see here is 814 also caused a significant reduction in the severity of the flashes. So the women were flashing much less often and also much less severely. And that, again, was statistically significant at week 1 and at week 2. And this is an important endpoint for the FDA. When we look similar, but actually this is the nighttime awakening. So you can see at the baseline, these women are waking between 4 and 5 times every night over the baseline period. And within 2 weeks, they drop down and they're waking just once a night. And some of them are not waking at all. So really dramatic and profound effect on nighttime awakening associated with nighttime sweating. So that was the basis for the excitement that, the support for raising more money to go into the phase 2b study, which we have done. And this is the design of the study. Again, it's a pretty standard design. It's actually a replica of the pivotal design that the FDA would require. So it's a smaller version, but it's a 12-week study. We're testing a number of different doses. We're recruiting in the US and in the UK, and these are the doses we're testing. And the key, the primary endpoint here is an efficacy endpoint, a reduction in the frequency of vasomotor symptoms. So as I said, we started the study, we fully recruited, completed, and we're waiting for data. And we expect that data to be available in Q1 next year. So in summary, we have something that really could be quite remarkable here. 814 is a first in class. It's non-hormonal, it's once a day, and it has the potential to really be a true non-hormonal replacement alternative to HRT, and in doing so, really transform the lives of women whose lives are debilitated by hot flashes. So the efficacy looks strong. We're hoping that's confirmed in the phase 2b. Again, we have a number of 300 exposures now, so the safety database is increasing. Our CMC is phase 3 ready. We have a very clear regulatory path forward. The FDA and the Europeans are very clear about what they want to see, and it's a larger version of what we've done. We will be exploring the potential of 814 in other women's health indications. As I mentioned, that we have already conducted a hormone study looking at the effect of estrogen, and we're waiting to see that data. And this compound also is protected by multi-layered patent estate of granted patents, method of use patents. So watch this space to see whether or not the hypothesis is confirmed early next year. Thank you.